So men who pass as women should have access to women's bathrooms. I mean, my gut tells me no. My reasoning tells me no. But I think you can also reason to the fact that there should be some exceptions to that. But in a legal context, you cannot make exceptions to that.
Right, legally, how do you legislate who passes?
Yeah, that's right. I'll have to go on strongly disagree.
Okay.
If my reasoning is in error, let me know.
Yeah.
What's your reasoning for that?
The slight agree that if a male passes as a woman, like literally passes, not like passes like people being generous, but people perceive a female, then there's no disruption happening. And also it cannot be stopped.
My fear is that once you say okay to one person, you've just lost the whole argument. I just do not think we're capable of that level of nuance. We're in Lake Oswego. I'm here with Phil Illy, and we're gonna do some Spectrum Street Epistemology in Oregon. And introduce yourself.
As Peter said, I'm Phil Illy. I'm quite knowledgeable about the psychology of transgenderism, and I wrote a book about it. And then some people got mad that I wore a dress, and we're here to talk about some related things.
You got mad that you wore a dress. Of all the things to get mad about. Okay. All right, let's do the first claim. There are two types of trans people. Move. I'm gonna get on this side because I'm deaf in that ear. So we both agree. What are the two types of trans people?
Well, there's a homosexual type, and there is an autosexual type where someone's attracted to being the other sex.
And which type are you?
I'm the autosexual type.
So do you self-describe as heterosexual?
Yeah, I'll usually say like autogynephilic or autoheterosexual.
So you like women?
Yeah, they're beautiful and good.
I mean, you like them as sexual partners?
Yeah.
And you don't have sexual partners as men?
I'm not a fan, no.
Okay. Okay. Would you be surprised if I told you I was autogynephilic?
I would be very surprised.
Why? Are there some telltale signs or markers?
Sometimes you can pick up on the vibe, but you don't have the vibe.
I don't have the vibe.
No, unless you're an amazing repressor.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that could be too. That could be too. Do you have like a senses like gaydar? Like, can you just sense autogynephiles and such?
Sometimes, yeah. It's often kind of nerdy looking men with long hair, maybe. Or just sometimes the way they move. It's sort of like gaydar, but just for a different thing.
Reed was thinking about growing out his hair.
Yeah. Maybe we could put a dress on too, see how it goes.
I think that'd be great. I think that'd be great for him. Okay, so let's explain those two types.
Right, so the sort of the classical, the easier one to explain is the homosexual type, because gender nonconformity sort of sometimes arises alongside homosexuality. It seems to happen in utero. There's people that grow up very gender nonconforming from a young age and they feel discomfort because of their social role and just their innate nature. And some of them decide to transition to live as the other sex. Say like a very feminine gay man or a very masculine lesbian might feel more comfortable living as the other sex.
Okay.
And that type is less common though. The more common type is caused by internalized heterosexual attraction, where like instead of being pointed that way, some of it gets pointed at yourself, and it makes you want to become the other sex or become like it to the greatest degree possible.
Okay. So let's do the claim. Autogynephilia is a fetish. Move. I'm going to need to know the definition more, but my tendency is to be here until I know how you define fetish.
Right. I don't use the term fetish.
I don't use the term fetish either.
Yeah, scientifically, a fetish in sexology refers to attraction to objects or like non-genital body parts. If you have a fixation on feet, for example, like that's sexual fetishism. But I don't use the term fetish because it's very broad and it kind of short circuits people thinking.
Okay. So why are you on the disagree?
Because autogynephilia is a form of heterosexuality. It may be pointed in a different direction, but it's still mostly, it's still heterosexuality. So I don't think it's that accurate to call it a fetish.
Do you think homosexuality is a fetish?
No.
Would you be on the strongly disagree for that?
I would be, yeah.
So why wouldn't you be on the strongly disagree for autogynephilia? It seems like just something you are.
Yeah, I guess I was leaving some wiggle room there. Because it's classed under the category of paraphilia, and often people colloquially use the term fetish when they're talking about paraphilias, just in everyday speech.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have one for you. If I could take a pill to change something about my sexual orientation, I would. In other words, to be bisexual, homosexual, non-autogynephilic, for my case, autogynephilic, I would.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you would? You strongly agree you'd take it. Why?
Yeah, because being attracted to something that you could never be or even plausibly resemble it's kind of unsatisfying, and it's just not the best situation to be in.
If you could look more like a woman, would you stand on agree?
If I was, say, born shorter and had more of a female-like skeleton,
Yeah.
I would shift more towards disagreeing. I'd be more fine with it. Yeah. But honestly, just the question you offered of having a pill to change it, I think anyone would want that option. You know, it just opens up options. You don't have to take the pill.
Are you curious as why I'm on the neutral? Only ask me if
Oh,
you're.
yeah,
only ask me if you're genuinely curious. If you're not, don't ask.
Now that you raised the question, I definitely am. Why are you on neutral?
Because I've lived almost 58 years as a straight guy. I don't know. Maybe there's something I'm missing. I don't know.
Do you feel like you're missing anything?
No, but that's because I'm straight.
Right. I mean, why weren't you on strongly disagree then if you're satisfied with being straight?
I'm not dissatisfied with it all. In fact, but it's the only thing I've ever known. I can't change who I am or what I like.
Wouldn't you prefer to be able to be bi so you had more options?
No, I'd prefer a totally different orientation if I were going to do anything.
Yeah. Like what kind of orientation would you prefer?
Gay.
Yeah. Is it because of the epic body count that you could rack up?
No, it didn't even occur to me. I mean, my son's gay, and I listen to the stories that he tells me about being gay, and it's interesting to me. Like the gay culture, the gay lifestyle, and there is a kind of culture and a lifestyle, and it'd just be interesting to authentically participate in that world.
Yeah, that makes sense. That the ultimate male camaraderie, just like extra.
Yeah, but I mean,
so.
we are who we are.
Yeah. All right, I understand more why you're on neutral.
It is wrong for males to wear dresses. Want to call it in the air? In the air.
Yeah, heads.
Okay, you lose. Okay. So let's see. I'm going to send you over there.
Oh, brutal.
All right, so you're going to argue from the point of view of someone who strongly agrees that it's wrong for males to wear dresses.
Yeah, I'll try to steel man this one.
Yeah. Because we know you don't believe it, but
Right. Let's see. It's wrong for males to wear dresses because that would confuse children in terms of whether they're seeing men or women. It makes things more ambiguous and confusing for some people. It also, by weakening social norms, it leads to more chaos socially.
Okay, I'm gonna change the claim, but I'm gonna keep you there. It is wrong for males to wear dresses at feminist conferences. I'm gonna stay on strongly disagree.
You're gonna make me.
Yeah.
All right. I was like, I want to go over there. So to argue for why it's wrong for males to wear dresses at feminist conferences, some of the feminists at feminist conferences might feel that the men wearing dresses are objectifying femininity through the male gaze, and that this is a form of oppressing women, and therefore it doesn't belong at a feminist conference.
And how is it oppressing women? What would the argument be for that?
It's sort of putting on woman face, so to speak. It's mocking what it is to be a woman, and that might offend some of them. And since it's a feminist conference, that might be good not to do that.
And the idea there is that because it's a feminist conference, you want to have everybody who agrees with you there. Or any kind of conference. Like at an atheist conference, would they want a believer? At a feminist conference, would they want a non-feminist?
I would say at a feminist conference, they wouldn't want non-feminists there.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Because at atheist conferences, they love believers.
Right, yeah. No, the atheists would be fine with it, but the feminists wouldn't be.
And Christian conferences as well, they love atheists to be there. to
Yeah.
share the good word. Okay, so you think, no, I know you don't think this, but the argument for why women could be offended is, could it be maybe they feel unsafe if they see a man in a dress?
They might feel unsafe because some of them have very strong reactions to seeing men that they perceive as autogynephilic, and they might believe that those men wearing dresses are forcing their sexuality upon them unconsensually.
Could it be, correct me if I'm wrong, but piggybacking off what you said, that they think if a man can wear a dress, the next thing from that is there's a slippery slope. A man will go in the woman's room. A man will, like, there are all these entailments.
Yes, they're worried about not the dress itself, but the next step of, say, identifying into the category of womanhood or using their bathrooms.
And is it that because they believe at root that human beings are really incapable of nuanced thought?
If you were to ask them, they might not say that, but they might embody the inability to have nuanced thought in their reaction. Peter, why do you disagree with...
I think anybody should be able to wear anything they want, with very few exceptions.
Yeah, like what if a man at a feminist conference wore just like super tiny mini skirt, tiny little bra with like a see-through shirt?
Fine.
It's fine? Your total freedom position here?
Well, that's why I said very few exceptions. I can think of one exception.
What is that?
On public transportation where people are sitting down, I wouldn't want them to wear a piece of dental floss and claim, just for hygiene reasons.
That's valid. Yeah, for public transportation at the feminist conference.
Well, independent of the feminist conference, so just hygiene reasons.
Right. So yeah, people should cover their butt when they're sitting places.
I think that's an eminently reasonable position.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'm not going to argue against that.
Yeah, but I think people should be able to, in free, open societies, people should be able to wear anything they want to wear. And if people want to go topless, they should be able to go topless.
Yeah, I would say within a feminist conference, it might be good to have a shirt on, or a dress.
Because of the way the women look?
Just because, no shoes, no shirt, no service.
A semi-joke, but...
Okay.
Yeah, but that's only if food is served.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So if people want to, if men can take off their shirts, women should be able to take off their shirts.
Yeah. Do you plan on taking off your shirt at a feminist conference?
No, I almost never take off my shirt unless, I can't imagine why. When I wrestle, some guys wrestle, do jiu-jitsu and shirtless, but I always wear a rash guard. It's like a little tight-fitting cloth.
Yeah.
Just decreases, it's just a hygiene thing.
Yeah, the fungus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay, most public bathrooms, like that bathroom over there, is all gender. Most public bathrooms should be labeled all gender. Let's get the boards. Write down the best reason you have for standing on disagree to the question, most bathrooms should be labeled all gender. And I'll write down the best reason that I'm on agree. All right, why don't you take a guess at mine first?
In these bathrooms, if there's single stall, then there's no reason to have a rule about the gender of person that goes in there.
False.
Okay. Or,
Now I guess.
okay.
We take turns. You think that promotes gender ideology?
That wasn't my reason, but that is a good point.
Is it better than the reason you have on the board?
No.
Okay. Okay. Do you want to guess mine?
If everyone has a private stall, then what does it matter about the sex of the person that's in it?
No. But the more I think about your first answer, the more I'm reconsidering my own, because it's kind of along the lines, but no. Let me guess yours. Because you don't think there's any such a thing as gender. And so you think it's a kind of culturally embedded misnomer.
No.
Okay. You want to guess mine?
Everybody poops and pees, so why does it matter the gender of the person in there?
No, I'm going to reveal mine to you.
Yeah.
And again, your first answer was really good. Excuse my penmanship. It takes women longer to pee, and the queues for women's rooms are longer. Thus, it's unfair, assuming that an equal number of people want to go to the toilet.
Okay.
What's yours? Well, but do you understand my reasoning?
I do. I think that's like probably not like, I understand the reasoning.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's yours?
Mine is just that bathrooms with shared common areas should typically be labeled differently, because females should be able to be free of males if they need to.
Yeah, I'm super sympathetic to that. I'm kind of thinking through this now. I'm trying to think of how. So in that situation, there's only one stall. So that clearly, I don't see there's any problem with that at all.
Right. A one stall, it doesn't matter.
Right. So it matters with multiple stalls. And I don't think it matters with women in men's rooms.
Right, because they're not potentially a threat.
Yeah, so I don't think that's the issue. Then the question is, well, what do you do if you have so you have two bathrooms, a men's room and a women's room. Like, I see this all the time at stadiums, all the time. There's a massive line for the women's room, and there's virtually no line for the men's room. And that strikes me as just unfair.
If they're given equal square footage, that's going to be inevitable because women can't just walk up to the urinal and
Right,
let
correct.
go. Yeah.
And so I'm not sure that's the solution. I mean, the more I think about it, maybe I should be here, because I don't want men and women's spaces, but I also don't want to be unfair to women. So I'm not other than redesigning, which would cost, depending on the building, an insane amount of money. I'm not sure what the solution to that problem is.
Yeah, I mean, I typically lean towards like the rule of passing, like you should go wherever creates the least potential disruption.
Yeah, I guess in that sense, you have to balance the idea of fairness versus although maybe you could let women go into the men's room to alleviate that problem.
Right, yeah. I think most guys wouldn't care that much.
Virtually nobody would care. Somebody would care.
Only if they like really cared about equality, where they're like, hey, no, if you guys have your special room, we get our special room too.
Passing males, in other words, men who pass as women, should have access to women's bathrooms. Passing males.
I think it's weird that this is a should.
Passing males.
They de facto do have access if they literally pass.
But the should, like moral,
Right.
it's a moral component. Blair White should have access to women's bathrooms. Oh boy, that's a good one.
Just specifically Blair White as the question.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good one. Oh boy, that's a tough one. I'm also thinking of Deidre. I'm thinking of Deidre McCluskey, was
Right, she was one of Bailey's attackers.
male and then female. When we ate lunch together, she went to the woman's room, and I even used the pronoun she, right?
Right, but she doesn't pass, right?
Well, the waitress called her ma'am.
Right, that's
I don't think
right.
it was. We were in Texas, so it was
she
not
could
a
pass
politeness.
as a trans woman, but like, is that
Oh, I mean, again, I don't know what was in the waitress's mind, but I think that the waitress was like. But I don't know. So Deidre McCluskey, Blair White, etc., should have access to the women's. Ooh, that's a tough one. See, here's the problem. The problem is, the reason this is so difficult is it's not Deidre McCluskey and Blair White who are the problems.
right? It's typically the ones that aren't passing.
Well, no, even the ones who are passing can still be the problems.
Yeah, at least in the footage I've seen, in terms of the problematic ones, it doesn't seem like they are.
And then the problem is, like, you have to have some kind of a law.
Right, and it's like, how do you enforce that?
Yeah, I mean, because then it would be arbitrary in who passes and who doesn't pass. And if you had a rule that said, well, you have to have had bottom surgery, then you're actually talking about people who have severe mental disorders, letting them in with women.
Right, but they don't necessarily pass after that. The issue
True.
is more of like the women, like seeing a male and then having that ancient evolutionary
Yeah.
response to that like there's a male here.
So then the question, passing males, so men who pass as women should have access to women's bathrooms. I mean, my gut tells me no. My reasoning tells me no. But I think you can also reason to the fact that there should be some exceptions to that. But in a legal context, you cannot make exceptions to that.
Right, legally, how do you legislate who passes?
Yeah, that's right. I'll have to go on strongly disagree.
Okay.
If my reasoning is in error, let me know.
Yeah.
What's your reasoning for that?
The slight agree that if a male passes as a woman, like literally passes, not like passes like people being generous, but people perceive a female, then there's no disruption happening. And also it cannot be stopped.
Because you wouldn't know because they pass
No
as a
one
woman.
knows. It's like that.
Yeah, but there's a should that's a should that's in there. And then you could get creepy dudes who just dress up as women, who kind of look up women, maybe they're a little feminine anyway, and they're just doing creepy stuff in there.
Right. That creepy stuff itself, there's already laws against that. Like if someone was like
Yeah, but
filming
women
under-
shouldn't have to worry that someone's gonna sneak in under false pretenses and do creepy stuff. This should just be the assumption that they walk in there and they just feel safe.
Right.
I mean, to the extent that it's possible in an open society.
Yeah. I would say though that like the type of males who would do this behavior aren't going to care about whether they should in the first place.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm thinking about it from the level of where, like a moral level, like what should they do? Where should they go?
Like, for example, do you think someone like Blair White should go in the men's bathroom?
Yeah, so again, the edge cases are tough. She's had, correct me if I'm wrong, I met her in Texas. She had facial surgery. She looked like a woman. Her voice was somewhat womanly, I thought. She performed, to borrow a term, turn of phrase from Butler, as a woman. I mean, I personally would have no problem with her going to the women's room, but I'm not a woman either. And again, my fear is that once you say okay to one person, you've just lost the whole argument. I just do not think we're capable of that level of nuance.
I understand that position. It it's still like if there is someone that passes as a woman, then they'll need to go somewhere.
Well, okay, so the other problem is that their entailment's entitled to that. Because if you say, well, if you make a law that allows that, then what about other things? So, well, this person passes a woman for prisons. This person passes a woman for, I mean, once you start doing that, you've opened a floodgate. So you just can't open the floodgate, even though the edge cases, I think if you're honest with yourself, you have to acknowledge that there's a degree of injustice there. But that degree of injustice is to offset the potential dangers and larger injustices than if you didn't do it. That's my thinking, but I mean, I could move. I'm not wedded to that. I guess by analogy, like you could say, well, for the death penalty, we don't kill one innocent man, even as a deterrent, right? So, but I'm not sure that's analogous. I mean, it's a really, really tough issue.
It is a tough issue, and I think that's why people have not come to a clear consensus on it.
So I guess anybody who would say absolutely, someone who had, like super sophisticated surgery, et cetera, and passed, and bottom surgery, et cetera, history of lifelong diagnoses from psychiatrists who are not indoctrinated the orbit of critical social justice, like legitimate gender dysphoria. I'm trying to think of what they would say for why those people shouldn't be allowed into the women's room. My assumption is that they'd have to resort to some kind of essentialism or religious essentialism or religious nature. I mean, I could be wrong with it. We'd have to get them here and talk, but I find that usually when you disagree with someone even a little bit, they won't talk to you about these issues. So males who pass as women are no more of a threat to women than the general male population. Okay, I know where I'm going to move, but I'll wait till you move. Okay. I am here. However, I was almost at neutral. And the reason for that is purely a data question. And I do not have intimate knowledge of the data, but if I had knowledge of the data, I would move to wherever map the data said I would move. I mean, do you know the data? I mean, it seems like an obvious data question.
Right, I think that is definitely a data question. I moved here because if they come from the male distribution, then I think they'll just have male typical criminality, or at least not less male typical criminality. I'm saying that they should be assumed to be about as dangerous as the average male.
Should probably be Australian.
Wait, really? Oh. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I was misinterpreting that.
I don't think that's true. I guess it depends what you mean by pass to, like completely pass. Again, I think it's on the data, and from the little data I've seen, that doesn't seem to be the case. But again, it depends on who's doing the evaluating, what do you mean by pass, et cetera.
Right, yeah. I feel similarly to you in that we'd have to look at the data.
I agree. It's a data question. All right, you ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Okay. Autogynephiles who pass as women are no more of a threat to women than the general male population. Move. I don't know this data very well, but actually, from what I've read, they're actually less of a threat to women. But I couldn't cite you the study from what I read. It's out of my area of expertise.
Yeah, I moved towards agree just because I don't think there's any good reason to think they'll be more of a threat than the general male, especially because part of their heterosexuality is rerouted inward instead of being towards others. So it could curtail some of their...
Yeah, so I think we should probably disambiguate what do we mean by threat. Like I meant Like, what do you mean by, how did you interpret threat in that?
Physical
That's
violence.
how I interpreted it too.
You know,
Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's just data collect. I mean, that'd be a pretty easy study to run.
I don't. That
Oh, if
that
you,
sounds expensive to
and,
run.
well,
that
yeah,
one.
unless people lied and they said they weren't autogynephiles.
Right.
But,
Yeah, that'd be hard to run.
Right. What is the obvious thing someone would stand there would say? They have a mental disorder, and people who have mental disorders are either unpredictable or prone to violence, or part of that unpredictability could be violence prone. That's what someone standing there, I think, would say.
Right. Yeah. Or similarly, that autogynephilia is a paraphilia, and someone that has one paraphilia is more likely to have other ones. And some of paraphilias are harmful, such as voyeurism or frauderism, and so therefore they might be more dangerous because they might have a type of paraphilia
Yeah.
that harms others.
I think that's at least partially untrue, because when you look at incidents of pedophiles, they're mostly straight men who claim to be heterosexuals.
Right.
So that wouldn't be. So I don't think their reasoning is accurate. But again, I'm willing
Yeah.
to move if the evidence
Yeah.
shows that that's
I don't think
not
it's
true.
been collected yet, though. So
I remember reading something about it. I couldn't cite it off the top of my head, it's out of my area, but I remember reading something about it.
I know there was a long-term Swedish study that found that male to female transsexuals had higher rates of crime. I can't remember exactly what kind, but there was a long-term Swedish study over decades that found that.
So could someone claim that the autogynephiles who pass as women, one motivation or reason or what have you is once they have access to women's spaces, they're more likely to rape or assault or violate women somehow? Would that be something someone on those lines would say?
Someone that was over on that side might say that by having access to those women, then they're therefore more likely to be causing harm to women.
So you'd have to show that it was only autogynephilia, as opposed to like a suite of psychosexual
Right. It
predilections.
could be something else.
Yeah.
I think typically with the autogynephiles, they want women to like them and to be accepted as one, so they'll won't behave in such a manner because it's unwomanly in their conception.
How does that manifest for you being an autogynephile?
Typically, I wear women's clothes because to my autogynephilic brain, they're just better, and that's probably the main thing I do on an everyday basis. I mean, it also is related to me writing a book on the subject. I wouldn't have gotten interested in the subject if I hadn't have been blindsided by learning about that.
So what happens when you date a woman? Do you wear a dress on the first date?
Yeah, because you want to filter out the ones that aren't down with that.
And what do they say to that? Why are you wearing a dress?
It hasn't been an issue yet because they would have already seen me wearing a dress by the
it's
time
Portland?
I got to a date. Also, it's Portland. Yeah.
So I guess my other question to you is, so you go and you wear a dress and you filter them out so you know who's cool with that and who's not.
Yeah, you want to, if I were to be wearing men's clothes and giving a false impression, then blindside them with oh, actually, I'm autogynephilic. That would be sort of false advertising, and I wouldn't like to waste their time.
Are there women who have a fetish for autogynephilic men?
I think there are some.
Why don't you find some of them?
Where?
No, why don't you? That'd be the way to do it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean they're not wearing a flag. They don't have a identity.
But they might
label
have it
yet.
on a dating profile. Like if you put on a dating profile, I'm an autogynephile. I mean, some women. I mean, I don't know. I'm speculating. I mean, what is that rule? There's some kind of rule, like the rule of something that anything you can think of as a fetish. There's something.
Rule 34.
Is that what it is?
If you could think of it, there's porn of it.
Okay, so
Yeah.
there must be women who are attracted to autogynephilia. I mean,
Yeah, there are, and there also be some autoandrophilic women that are attracted to that because then they could, sort of do the gender reversal thing where they would get to be the man and then the autogynephile would get to be the woman.
Oh, was that of interest to you?
Hypothetically, yeah.
You'd have to find the right
Yeah.
woman.
Right. They'd have to be a good fit in other traits too, of course, not just a sexual orientation match.
So, I mean, does that manifest itself sexually when you're with a woman?
Yeah, there's a different style to it. Yeah.
Oh. And some women like that and other women don't, but you've weeded them out already, so you don't have to
Right.
concern
The ones
yourself.
that aren't down with it would get weeded out by the transvestism just up front, just wearing a dress.
Traps are gay. Okay, what's a trap?
A trap is a feminized male, like a cross-dresser or someone a male who otherwise passes as a female.
And they're gay.
Right. And the claim traps are gay, it could be about whether that male themselves is gay or whether it's gay for a straight guy to be attracted to that is usually how people interpret that. Like, would it be gay for you to be attracted to like a passing male to female transsexual or crossdresser?
Did I know?
That's the question. But if you don't know and you were still attracted to them, would that be gay?
Well, no, because you don't know. But if you found out that it was a guy and you were still attracted to them, or
That sounds pretty gay, doesn't it?
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But it all depends if you knew or not.
Right. So if, like, when you don't know and you're attracted to this
So
track,
I guess we'd have to be very hypothetical. If you does
Sure.
sleeping with a trans woman make you gay or bisexual?
Okay, well, yeah, we can do that one.
Really? I find that fascinating. You're telling me that if a guy sleeps with a man who claims he's a woman, the man is not gay or bisexual?
Well, I guess it is a type of bisexuality, but when psychologically it's heterosexual, even if physically the behavior is gay or bisexual.
So you told me you're heterosexual, right?
Yeah.
So if I told you I'm a woman, and then we went over there and just started fucking each other,
You'd have to look a little more like a woman.
so Reed would have to do it then.
You'd have to get done up first. Yeah.
Well, it just seems obvious to me that a man who sleeps with another man is bisexual or homosexual. I mean, I don't even know what the other side could be.
Well, yeah, I guess I'm differentiating between what their psychology and the action itself. If we're talking about the behavior, I would be over on your side. But talking about the inner psychology of like what makes them attracted to it, they're attracted to the feminine traits on the male. So
if they
it's
sleep,
psychologically heterosexual, but behaviorally gay.
okay. I don't know what to say to that, Reed. I don't know, maybe my brain is just too burnt. I just don't even know what to say to that. Phil Illy, thanks for talking to me, coming out here in Lake Oswego, being with the crew. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for talking to me, Peter.
Yeah, did you get something out of this? Was it interesting?
Yeah, it was fun. We learned about whether traps are gay. It's very educational.
Yep, and I learned what a trap is.
Yeah, we're all learning.
We're all learning.
Yes.
Thanks, Phil.
Yeah, thanks, Peter.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. This falls under the umbrella of my nonprofit, National Progress Alliance. Your generous donations keep us going and help fuel content like this. We truly appreciate your support. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next one.